Okay, so thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming to the meeting tonight. So we're going to start. Thanks for coming to the City Neighborhood Council. So we've got a great agenda today, a lot of neighborhood specific updates, and we'll go around like always and start with introductions. If you could please say your name and then why you're here. If you live in Central City, if you work on something in Central City, let us know. And then we also have a sign-in sheet going around. If you're not on our email newsletter, you'll want to be on that so you can stay updated. So let's start with the chat room and just give us quick introductions.
Sure. I can start us off. I've got David Thor, representing Fire Station 1. We're neighboring fire stations both south, 500 east. We're back in our station. That's why I'm here really to update the fire department. And any questions you got?
So I'm the transportation committee lead for CCNC, the second south northeast.
I'm sitting here with I'm in Florida, and I used to be representing. Hi, I'm not under the Central City, but I'm also studying city planning and careers and here for our city.
Right, zone committee chair, citizens of the east. It's
Liz Roselle, same place. Me. Oh, I'm ready for another safety committee chair. But like I said, 655 South, 500 East, that's the exact address. Yeah, I'll be back.
Christina Roth, Pacific Park Community Organization. I currently serve as the chair.
Maddie Conway, I live in Former Brun Seabright, I also live in State.
I'm Rebecca Allen, almost team.
Brent Anderson, I live just down the street on 30s.
Rihanna Riggs, I'm secretary, and I live next to Richmond in South and East.
And then
We're firefighters.
Firefighters, you guys full team. Thanks, Tim.
I live in Liberty Farm.
That's close. That's close.
Tim Cox from City Light Liaison on District 4 as a man.
I'm Acton Mortensen, I'm a resident. So.
I'm Justin Connie, chair and
Jenny Starley, vice chair and neighbor.
Thanks. And I'm Austin Taylor, I'm the treasurer, and I live at about 6 South 40. So we're going to start with city updates, and fire department says they want to go first. So so come on, tell us your news.
we only asked to go first because we are in service. So if we're going to call and have to run out, apologize in advance. So I want to answer any questions you have. First off, just a quick update from us. The biggest thing is we're back in our station. We can now water fire truck in Station 1. That was the reason for that project, and goal accomplished. We're back in our station and we're happy to be there. So the next thing I wanted to mention, are all of you aware that the fire department has a newsletter monthly? Awesome. If you're not aware, no big deal. You can subscribe to it if you go to fire.slc.gov. There's a subscription link about halfway down, just the main page. Chief Lee just puts out kind of a message for the month. This month is National Preparedness Month. So we're talking about having emergency plans, 96-hour kits, that kind of stuff. If you don't have that in place, it's okay. The fire department has your back. If you go to our website again, through our emergency management link, there's a lot of good information there. If you still need more guidance, you can reach out to our emergency management division and get guidance there to help you set up what you need. So I'm not going to dive too deep into that right now. Just know that the fire department's there as a resource. We want to help you set that up if you don't have it in place already. So what questions do you have for me? Any questions you have?
Does the fire department administer the CERT program, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that you can link to that through our website, through the emergency management link. So we do that. We do CERT classes, we do CPR classes, all that stuff's just easily linked to our website.
For those that aren't aware, and people online as well, do you want to describe what CERT is?
Oh boy, I'm going to let you down here. Yeah, so it's basically the program that helps prepare our citizens for the emergency. So community emergency response, So in the event of a large scale disaster, the fire department, the police department, all city departments are going to play a role. But in a truly large scale disaster, we need our community to be resilient, to be prepared. And that's just a mechanism to help with that. So that's what the classes are geared toward, is an organized system for our community members to be prepared in a large scale emergency. So
Wonderful. And then if I remember right with CERT, they kind of like take your skills and abilities as well, if you're a CERT team member. So that way, if a response does come, you're notified and they know who to call for certain resources that they may need from the community. Is that correct?
yes, that's completely correct.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Just in conjunction with preparedness.
Yeah, that's great. Appreciate it. What other questions can I answer or sort of answer?
What do you do in your free time when you guys are busy? Like not like at home, but like at the station.
So you mean when we're not responding on calls? We do a lot of things. So we have a lot of commitments as far as just in the community, things like this, different community engagement things. And then we spend a lot of time training. So I think that the way that I like to frame it is that we should be ready to respond to any type of emergency. So for example, we went to a shed fire today. We did multiple different things on that fire. When we got back, we talked about all the things we did, and then we did all the things that we did again so that we'd be better at it the next time. Does that make, yeah. So basically a lot of what we do is just preparing. Like there's a lot of skills that we don't use on a daily basis. So we have to practice those skills to keep them up.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. You need anything right after?
Resource fair next Friday. Right here in the library. Yeah, what is resource fair? Sorry. The city, City's Wellness Team hosts a monthly resource fair every second Friday of the month. The last 3 will be here at Library Square, and we provide, we organize different organizations that come, courts are always there, pet care, haircut, dental, things that aren't altered populations, needs. So just a way to get them resourced a little bit faster in one month. Is there anything that we can do to help support the resource fair? Yeah, we have a super small team and we're always looking for manpower to set up and take down canopies, tables, tents. Yeah. 9:30 to 12:30 a run. So we are calling around 8:30 Good question.
I have a graphic. I feel like city.
Yeah, HAILEY. No, sorry, $. Yes.
And if you guys didn't leave, there's a state split beside kind of the concrete almost campus. And so the northwest part of the city. So check it out on the news.
What are your thoughts on that? Rose Park is having by the way, Rose Park's community council is having Councilman Federal and Senator. I think they're scheduled to start at 7, so 7 is going virtual. Well, but yeah, I mean, it's being modeled after even for Hope, which is down in Texas, and even for Hope, it's really thoughtful campus with wraparound services. The intention is to provide, individualized care to what people need and get them to their version of self-sufficiency, because we all know that people being self-sufficient is much cheaper to society than it is, working in nutritional and urgent systems that they are right now. So wants to get sheltered. So it's a hopefully helping more people achieve that goal. So that's all I help people.
Rebecca, I wanted to
the site is much smaller than what you said they were looking for. Do you have any inside information on that? I mean, it's like 16 acres versus 30-acre site that they're searching for.
Yeah, I don't know, I know the land is so hard, to find something that can suit so many communities, and I think this is more, you know, it's definitely a pilot program that's happening, so. I guess it was. This is the parcel that we're finding, and we're going to make a successful, program here, and then see what the needs are after that, it's like fully operational.
Thank you. Yeah, giving us as far as.
I know there's some additional property next to that.
Understood.
That they're looking at in addition to expanding. So Tim from the mayor's office, looking for Troy, capital improvement project, CIP opens September 1st. So familiar with capital improvement project. So anything that creates a city asset, city property, it's over $50,000 more, but you, the constituents, get to decide. This is your opportunity to be engaged and look for improvements that you would like to develop in your neighborhood, in your community. That goes till October 1st. So you guys are already working on a project, Austin?
Yeah,
Troy's, okay. And this is second year
Yeah,
that it's being submitted?
well, no, this will be a different one.
Oh, different, okay. Sometimes they take a few years, and don't ever lose hope, just keep trying. And the city departments, once they receive your application, they'll sit down and work with you, flesh it out so that you have city support with the resources that are experts in those fields. Also, ACE funding is opening up October 1st. That's where you guys have done in the past Pizza in the Park. So it's $300,000 from the mayor's office.
You'll get all of
Yep. You have to share. But this is arts, culture, and entertainment. So you know how we talked last meeting, actually, we had a discussion about this because of the well survey. But every neighborhood has its own eclectic feel, own atmosphere, own flavor, and this is so that you can help decide what you'd like to see in your community. I've been at so many this last summer, it feels like there's one every weekend everywhere. Kensington Street Festival is a lot of fun. But, there's more coming up as well. So that is October 1st is the application. Get your ideas going now, and then deadline is November 1st. And then they'll let you know the end of November, and then the money's allocated January. So you also had the fire. So that's if you want money. If you want to gift money, we have the Main Street Fire Employees Assistance Fund. So that's also on our website of the downtown businesses that had fire to help these employees have rental assistance while they're looking for employment. And it's disrupted over 250 employees. And some of the businesses got hurt down there too. So if you want to frequent the businesses that way, that's adding support to the neighborhood. I spoke last month about Shape SLC. That's a new platform for your participation that the city has. I looked on it today, and I think there is 8, maybe 10 surveys that you can participate in. One is the Safe Streets Action Plan. I know that's been a big topic for Central City Community Council. But the goal of Safe Streets Action Plan is to add multiple ways for pedestrian and bicycle safety. So share your ideas in that survey. We also have help to shape fleet block There's one on Salt Lake City housing needs. There's one on climate change. So take your interest and participate in those surveys. It's Out of the Blue Well is another one. Haley Keller, for volunteers for the homeless resource fair. And there's a lot of things this weekend. You have football. Councilmember Ava Lopez Chavez is sponsoring District 4 movie night. She couldn't be here tonight, so promised to share. Ratatouille up on Bueno and 1200 East. So take your kids, be a lot of fun. They'll have food trucks, games. Starts at 6 o'clock. The movie starts at 7:45. Fun time, get kids and family out. They have another movie night targeting Central City in October. And I'm not sure which movie that's going to be. It's something with the Halloween theme. Greek Festival is also this weekend. And I'll pass some QR codes around if you participate in a few of these items. Anything needed from me? Pass to me. Thank you.
But do you have
Oh yeah, the schools in session drive with care signs. Feel free to take one of those. I have to take them all back. But we want to put those out and make sure. In the visible area, daily where school children are walking.
I'll put one across the YWCA.
Thanks, Ruth. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other city? Yes.
Yeah, I work at city council.
Okay.
So I just have some handouts about information around
Okay.
It's just about council business, also about the event on Saturday.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
I have it.
Helen,
Are you? I'm just still waiting for this for right now. I'm in right now, so I'm gonna take this. Okay, great. Was there any city? Yeah, I work with,
Okay, so next we've got committee updates, and so like public safety. I think we have like a big discussion about parks later. Yeah.
all right.
We'll talk about that later. And then transportation, we have a question later, so I guess land use. Do you guys, sorry.
Yeah, not any significant updates. I was talking to Bruna as Andy's gracious to do a whole planning commission agenda review and make sure that we're more proactive in attending these meetings.
Well, no, we just wanna, we want Cindy to mentor us for a session. Okay, that's what she did. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're too busy. Yeah, I'm feeling the IRS.
Good audit.
That's all.
Okay, thank you, Hannah. And then anybody wants to help out on any of these committees, Frank's in charge of land use, Trevor's in charge of transportation, Brian's in charge of public safety, so we always want to have more residents involved.
Or if there's a committee you want to start.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes we'll get emails from the city asking for someone to represent a particular project. So for example, like in Liberty Park is something you're interested in. We can keep that in mind in the contact information. So when that opportunity possibly comes up, we can tie you into those conversations.
Okay, thank you. So I think we see Marie's iPhone. Is that Detective Stewart? If so, sorry we skipped you. Would you want to give an update?
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. Detective Stewart, Salt Lake City Police Department. I'm the liaison for Districts 3 and 4. So just our update that I really want to push forward to everyone in the downtown area is mostly prevention is the best way to fight crime. And right now we're seeing an increase in vehicle burglaries in the downtown area, including part of Central City. And there are lots of different reasons for that. And again, going back to prevention, that's the greatest way to fight crime. A lot of times, if you can believe it, people leave valuable, in the front seat and their door's unlocked. And most of the time, it's a crime of opportunity. Sometimes they do break windows, and that's very true. And some people leave their doors unlocked because they don't want their window broken, but they also leave valuables in the car. A big concern that we have, especially in the downtown areas, when people come into our city or they live in our city, they keep weapons in their vehicles. They don't know their serial numbers. Their weapons get stolen out of their vehicles and they go into the wind because they don't know what the serial number is. So you can't list it with the National Registry for stolen items when you don't know the serial number. So that's my other recommendation, is that if you do have bicycles or anything of value that has a serial number, please take note of that somewhere, even if it's a photo on your phone. But preferably somewhere written down and stored in a safe place in your home so that it can be referenced. And we can, when we do check things, we find items, we can run the serial numbers and it can come back as stolen. And then we can actually elicit some consequences for the people that have them. If they do have your stolen item, we run it and it doesn't come back because you didn't know your serial number, then we literally can't do anything. Even if it's a unique looking item, we can start there, but if it's one of many, we can't prove that it's not theirs. So just a little thing to pass around to your neighbors. Other than that, things are looking good. We're really still pushing our community oriented policing model at Central City, and those are going really well. Our officers are always looking for ideas for community-oriented policing projects. And if anyone has anything, please email me. I know that they would love to be part of a community project. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I sent you a text, but I'm just wondering if there are any events going on, community events through the police department, because I haven't seen a copy of the cop for a while or anything.
As far as PR goes, I'm not quite sure what's on their calendar. I know as of late, especially in the summertime, rather than throwing their own events, they are attending a lot of other people's events, like the street fairs and neighborhood parties and stuff like that. Their calendar does get quite filled up, but I know that they will resume those.
You don't do anything yourself,
What's that?
coordinating anything.
Other
I'm confused maybe. So there's the POI set. Was that used to be Weisberg or Ian or?
Yeah, we have a new public relations director, but our public relations team is attached to our community outreach team, and their calendar. They're the ones that post everything on social media, so everything they do, they'll post it if it's an event that's open to the public. So
I got confused. I thought maybe you would do something separate for people who is on, so it's still active.
oh, so our community oriented policing projects in Central City are just projects that every squad in Central City who works for Central City Patrol, which is the officers who patrol your district or in your community, and they think up projects to do. They go and do it. It's not something that's like announced, or sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's like volunteering at a an old folks home or something like that, or they're going on foot patrol and really reaching out and meeting people, going into an area, saturating an area that might have vehicle burglaries, stuff like that, where they just think up projects. So it's not associated with our social media. It's just different. But that's where I'm asking for suggestions. If you do have something that you would like to see or have a local squad take part in, like you're having a like when you did Taufer Park, stuff like that. Those you can send me an email about those things, and I can give that to one of our squads who wants to come and join and take part in helping in that project. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One
We
more
got
question.
Okay.
Are we gonna get an introduction to our new, do we say director of communications or the new? Yeah, are we gonna get an introduction of Glenn Mills?
As far as him going to community meetings, I can certainly ask him to do that.
Announcement or anything?
I don't know. I'll ask him. I would imagine that he would. He's great. We're really excited, but he just barely started. If I don't even know if he's officially started yet, but I'm sure that he will introduce himself in some way. But I'll suggest coming to the community meetings as well.
I mean, even just a press release would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so our next agenda item is to talk about something the board's been engaged with, and that is to push for the cleanup of our neighborhood parks. And I'm gonna share my screens at first and just show, if you guys haven't been to some of our parks recently, here's just some photos that this, thanks to Brandy, some of these photos and videos are coming out, but if you walk through our parks, you're gonna see evidence of drug use, you're gonna see a lot of vandalism. If you go through at nighttime, you're gonna see a lot of camping. So, I mean, in some of these photos, you're seeing pipes that people use to smoke fentanyl off aluminum foil. You're seeing bags that people purchase methane. There's some aluminum foil strips from smoking fentanyl. There's needles from heroin. There's there's public sexual activity happening in our parks that the residents are catching. Here's a meth pipe just sitting there in the ground. So unfortunately, this is a daily occurrence, and this is not acceptable in our parks. Like, we shouldn't have open drug use and criminal activity happening in our parks. I think everyone can agree to that. And so the board has been organizing tours for many people who play a part in the criminal justice system, basically from from the federal government to the city level. So we have taken, started at the city level, we've taken people from the city justice court's office, we've taken homeless services, the heart team through these parks, we've taken people from the homeless shelters, like Shelter of the Homeless, Trailer King Shelter. We've taken the police chief and many top-ranking police people through these parks. We've taken our legislative representative, Grant Miller. We've taken our county council, Representative Joe Johnson. Who else? Simgill and a lot of his top staff. We've taken Blake Moore's top staff, our federal representative. So we really wanted to put eyes on these parks and let people know what's going on. And it was very uncomfortable for a lot of these people walking through our parks, like visibly uncomfortable as we walked through crowds of people that were openly using drugs in our parks. We wanted them to feel it and to see it for themselves. And we're hoping that raising awareness will help solve the issue. It's like the first step is for them to see and feel what is happening and know that it's not acceptable. So we started that a couple months ago, maybe 2 or 3 months ago. We haven't seen a lot of change since then, but we have seen the parks. Also, we took the parks. But we have seen them close down Taufer Park. If you've been by there recently, it's fully fenced off, and they say they're doing deep cleaning and maintenance at Taufer Park. So that's happening right now. You were going to say something?
And no one's broken in yet, I could say. Now they're coming forward. So please call non-emergency for everything, because we had some of the lowest calls. I got the numbers of what parks were getting calls from people and which ones aren't. And Taufer was way lower than I had hoped. I thought we were calling them crazy. I knew I was calling them crazy, but all these other parks had way more calls. So we'll need to call over.
That's actually a good question. So, we, just for everyone in the room on this, like Liberty Park is
So it's overseen by 3 different community councils, including East Liberty Park. So it was great to see you at the CAC meeting. There's a lot going on in Liberty Park, a lot of redesign, the playground's closed, and we were doing these cultural assessment meetings with different folks. But we started doing regular patrols of Liberty Park, and we were wondering if we're still having the same situation that we were having before, where as we push people out of Liberty Park, you're seeing it more heavily. So what is your ratio to Liberty Park to your things?
I think we're fine with that.
So yeah, what we're finding is that, I mean, we've talked to a lot of people in this process and we're learning a lot. It's not necessarily a homeless problem. When you see people at the parks using drugs, they're not necessarily homeless. When the police arrest them, they're telling us most of them have an address, they have a home. The park is just a convenient place for them to meet up with everybody else and trade drugs with these drugs.
Hang out with them.
Exactly, this hangout spot. And we need to change the culture of the parks so that they don't become that. And what we've been told is, by the government.
So I just want to be clear that we also delineate between unsheltered community and the drug concern or more criminal elements. So
yeah.
So that's my question. I'm not really speaking about the unsheltered right now. I'm wondering the drugs, the overshared drugs. What are we looking like?
Yeah, I don't know if it's being pushed over. I'm sure it does. I'm sure it happens because there's nowhere that there's nowhere that these people go to go use drugs. Like the jail is not holding, right? The police will tell you they arrest the same people over and over and over for drug dealing, and they're not holding them. So they just go from park to park and they just get pushed around.
And that's why I want to schedule, I'm scheduling the jail tour. So if anyone wants to sign up for it, tell me, or I think I might send an email out, but we'll figure it out. But there's that application you have to fill out and then just sign your name on the sheet. And I want to do it for future. So
sweet. So just like my question was more about directionality. So back in the day, our big directionality was Salt Lake City or Liberty Park straight to back and forth. So we would just watch that pattern.
So I think anywhere east of or west of 70s is fair game these days.
Maybe we should just look at that closer and kind of watch that pattern.
I think that's
like that in people's pockets. Last year during Pioneer Day, we kicked everybody out of Liberty and traffic at Artesian Low, at Richmond and Taufer.
That's what I think. Yeah, that's kind of when we started all watching directionality together. So yeah, so it's good. So what I hear you saying, just to make sure that I heard you right, is that right now we don't have eyes on the directionality. So maybe we could step up to help and try and understand patterns.
okay, well, I see people at Taufer at Heidi right now, on campus.
Yes, Cindy.
Yeah, what I'm seeing as a migration, and of course there is migration, I think, in all directions, but I see it coming out 600 east.
Oh yeah, me too. A lot.
And it's West Edge Community Gardens. That's Western. It just keeps going up to the park behind our retirement systems. It keeps moving. But what frustrates me is I don't know when it's nuts. When people get moved out of the park, there's like a delay. I think when that happens, I don't know when that happens, but then if I had that information and I sort of noticed, oh, now that people in front of West Edge Community Gardens, now they're in the playground, children use it. And there's a school program that uses that in part of our retirement system. So it would be helpful if we could get information as community organizations about when they're going to push people out of Liberty Park in particular. And I don't have that. I'm just counting on, wait a minute, it's been 3 days since I've been to this property, and now all of a sudden the people across the street on public property, what happened? So,
Cindy, I was going to tell you that, one thing that we didn't see in Liberty Park, and we were really expressive about this, doing these nightly, and we would go over 3 times a day. And one right when they were closing down the park. So we didn't see after the Jordan River cleanups, we didn't see directly in Ridley Park like the fentanyl quotes or like the hand-to-hands. We didn't see the increase in drug traffic. We did see more homeless folks that were being dispersed, but that was also addressed pretty well in Liberty Park. But we just did not see that huge uptick in the drugs. So that's why I asked that question, just kind of wondering where the drug use and the drug delivery went, because Liberty Park was really exceptionally high. So we can just kind of look at get some information from the state those, you know, people follow routes, you know, they want kind of like game trails. So if we could kind of look into that, we might get some leverage on.
So we got a few takeaways from these meetings with all these different groups that we met with. And you guys let me know if you had other takeaways. So the first one was that the police they're very frustrated with the jail system. Because like I said, they arrest the same people over and over. So they'll get booked in jail for drug dealing. And then they'll say, come back at this date for court. And they don't. They don't come back. Right? And so they have to go find them again, arrest them again. It just happens over and over. And then the second thing is they were saying that the city justice court judges are pretty lenient. And so, they're saying that drug use in the park is a victimless crime. But the thing is, all of us are victims as a public. Like, drug use should not be monopolizing public space. We should be using public space in a clean and orderly way so that everybody feels comfortable inside.
People don't want to be exposed to that necessarily at all.
So that was the other thing. And then the last one is, we asked Parks Department, we asked everybody who took through, what can we do as residents to help clean up the parks? And he told us two things. So the first is be in the parks. Positive use pushes out negative use. And so go there, hang out, meet friends there, take kids there, take my dogs there. And then the second thing is if you see something, then report it and encourage them to stop it. So if you see someone smoking that in the park,
Anything illegal.
anything like littering, drinking, anything illegal.
Sex.
Yeah. All of this stuff report it. Is we need to have a culture of respect for public space and respect for each other. Those behaviors should not be tolerated in the parks.
And there's certain criteria to charge for lewdness. Unfortunately, you have to see genitalia penetration. So if you don't see that, it's not the police necessarily can't charge lewdness or trespass in the park, but maybe they'll charge something else. But definitely report it. We should smell it.
What else do you guys say from tourists? Any takeaways, any advice?
What did that say?
She was just kind of there to observe Blakemore's staffer. Because Blakemore was at the Richmond Taufer Park. I don't know if you were there, because there was a new playground, right? So we wanted him to come see how's the park looking these days. But she was just there most of the time.
I think it was overall a little bit awkward. And we tried to really convey the purpose of why we were doing that. Sim Gil was the only one that really kind of engaged with everyone in the group to just ask questions, which was really nice. But on the same point, we tried to explain, this is the purpose, this is why we're doing this, this is what we want to see as far as neighborhood character and what we don't want to see, but I kind of felt like it was just people humoring us in a way, offering a little bit of some candid advice, but nothing more, to be honest.
They're really quiet. So.
Yeah, that's how my personal opinion.
What do you think we could do to big problem? Voice something effectively so they change this, not just these people who are putting people at risk of death, really.
I'm going to jail to talk to them face to face. Ask them.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the jail bond got voted down last week because it was a very close margin. Actually, Salt Lake City mostly voted for it. It was the more liberal suburbs that don't see the crime that are kind of anti-jail voted against it, and then the anti-tax conservative suburbs also voted against it. So it was unfortunate. But that was one thing that could have helped. And then Brenda's been starting sharing her pictures and videos online on social media, and it's getting some attention. I think that is helpful, just raising awareness so people know it's an issue, because we are not part of the system that's supposed to fix this. You know, we're just residents in the area. And so I don't know if it's our job to solve these kind of problems. You know, I think we can report it and we can try to change the culture of the neighborhood, but you know, we're not trained in law enforcement.
Yeah, I don't try to feel not, I mean, I don't think this whole thing when people talk about self-policing, I don't think is smart, in my opinion. And, you know, if I do my late walk at night, dogs, sometimes I walk out, there's a very scary person on our front steps. My whole walk, they don't leave, so I have to find a way to go in the back door. You know, and, you know, so it's not only the parks. These people that look dangerous because they probably want to look dangerous, which means they are or they aren't dangerous, but they're sending a message I should be afraid of them. And, you know, this idea, you know, that they can just sit on your steps, which means you can't pass by them safely. You don't know if they're going to grab you or something. So, I don't know. I mean, Tim, this is something that there was a text message in it. It had things about fences, so I kept trying to pay attention to see how it goes, because I think the only way to keep people on their steps is to fence around the property. If you don't fence around the property, people seem to think your steps are very to risk. Yeah, and it's very dangerous. You can't, and you know, sometimes they're sitting there because they want a person not paying attention and to leave the door so that these are like pushing. So, you know, I'm interested to see what we could do beyond the parks, the individual homeowners. How do we state no? People's steps into their home are not public for everyone. I can never tell. Well, I mean, I don't. To me, it's a prompt for a lot of people. You're afraid to go in your house. You're afraid to leave your house because someone is so in your space. And sometimes they're drunk. Sometimes they're vomiting on your steps. Sometimes they have stuff all over. And it's scary to stay stuff. So I just want to bring this out because, yeah, I don't like going to the parks. They cleaned up the library that's walked around here and it's not covered with homeless people, but there's also an issue at people's residences.
So let's wrap this up with the two comments. So I saw Maddie and then Amy, and then we gotta give Brandy some time to end the discussion. That's okay. Did you guys? Okay. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, living right over here at the Metro condominiums, and I see the problem too, because I've called in 5 times, people just, you know, absolutely overdosing in front of my unit. Well, I mean, in front of the building, I've had to call 5 times. So like, I live it too, but also I do a 5-mile walk, you know, all around town, usually 5 days a week, the same kind of route. And I just use the SLC app all the time. And it's actually really helpful. I don't talk to anyone. I will not self-police. I will walk on the other side of the road. And I'm a tall, presenting white guy, right? So like, not even necessarily the person who'd be at most risk. But so like, I do all those things. I get a lot of good response from the city. But I also now see a lot more police over here, and I feel uncomfortable there too. So it's just, there's no winning here. And that's the challenge. Because like now there's police in front of my unit every day. 10 times a day, you know, and that doesn't feel good either. And then also like the jails, you know, what's the answer there? We want to hold people in jail without bond, you know, and it's like, wow.
They're high utilizers.
Right, I know. And yeah, there's like people who go 50 times in their life, right? And, you know, I get it. But like the answer is going to be, let's just take away bond, you know, and it's just, it's not. So I love, the one thing I love most that was said is, it's the hardest, but like going there for positive reasons. I think that's like And I know that's not gonna fix it today, but like, I love that part. All the other stuff I'm watching happen as an effect of partly my participation and like reporting a lot of, I mean, there's usually, it's always people just overdosing and on the ground. I just have to step over. I don't ever really see the sex happening or the drugs happening. It's, you know, I usually go like 8 to 10 at night. So yeah, there's consequences to whatever we do. And it's been hard. So just recognizing all those things are true.
Thanks. Amy?
Took my locks to get out of this purse because I want to read it.
I have 3 in my house.
Yeah.
I've never like. And I don't know which thing it is, because it was, you know, it was personal for distance size, like, sure. It was over in some size, and then the police, or when the ambulance came after 45 minutes, they woke up and left. So they don't even get care. So it's just, right, and I'm not gonna, you know, but, so yeah, it's like my day is really occupied a lot.
Sometimes people get pink slipped if they meet certain criteria. That means this can pink slip, that meaning they can take them in not voluntarily. And some of the really worst people that have the worst time doing that, and more doing that. And I have a lot of experience in the last 2 months dealing with one or two particular people in Taufer that was finally in jail. She's not getting out all the time. And she was charged with 3 felonies and couldn't even go because she was trespassing from part of it. She was throwing rocks at me, throwing rocks at the toddler the other day. I mean, it's very sad.
Let's go to Amy's comment and then Brandon, if you want to wrap up with your public safety and speed.
So I met with St. Gilgal issue 4 years ago when ballpark might have been 3 years ago, but ballpark's a lot better than it used to be. So there's we have less park space than you, believe it or not. But one of the things that he brought up during that meeting was that probable cause statements you're not okay. I'll do this from a purpose. And so let me finish that sentence. The probable cause statements that police write at arrest are not sufficiently detailed such that people are not held when they are in fact dangerous. And they are inappropriately let go because the probable cause statements just don't have what it takes. I didn't like that explanation because to me, there's an easy way to solve that. There's like this, you can solve that through training and saying like, here are the magic words you need to say that this person needs to be held and not released. So I was just sort of interested to see if other folks have heard that explanation as well.
I had an email to myself.
I will say response times are way down compared to what they were 4 years ago. So I know a lot of us had call-in fatigue. You know, we knew that calling wasn't going to get a result, and so people stopped. If you had, I would urge folks to call again.
Yes.
Because you can get a response if you need to. If there's somebody scary on the porch, you can't get home, please call.
And get your call reference number, that's always 2025. And if you don't get some results, message me and I will reach out to them.
Can I just toss out one thing that we heard from Chief Brett, that like we're working on something behind.
Just super quick.
Really quick.
Brandon,
Probable cause is what you're talking about with that, because we're looking at numbers and statistics. So probable cause statements, but also how it's being coded. So like when your people are calling in, right? And especially if you're doing it over and over, try and get your police report number and check in to see how is it coded. Because if it's coded as a suspicious activity rather than actually a crime with a perpetrator, then it gets not on the stats. So we can talk more about this, but things are given that time.
yeah, Brandon, if you want to give us a public safety update, then we'll move on to the next item.
All right, well, yeah, so we're expecting more people at Richmond Park, which has happened a little bit. I noticed some frequent flyers over there, so I'm watching them. I did put up a camera in town, so Richmond Park, but I'm going to change the positioning of it because I'm just getting dogs on the grass playing right now. And these people, they don't put cameras there, some of them, but so they're in certain corners. So I got to reposition better. But the cameras were very effective in Taufer Park. I have 4 over there. I have 2 very high tech ones. I use those in monitoring day and night, reporting stuff all day long, working with police to get stuff done really quick. And if officers come within a decent amount of time, the next thing that you have to do is you have to have them approach in a strategic way at the park, so they're not seen by the people using and having stuff out before the police can see them with stuff in their hands. If those people see the cops first and move away, the cops can't do anything. And it makes a lot of calls like kind of a waste. So they need to, when you call in, if the people in the park or wherever you're at, you see them in one place, tell our officers, tell dispatch, to tell them to park in a different place that you know of, it's a little more hidden away and approach for that. I mentioned that, it doesn't, I mean, it sounds like you're telling them what to do, but you're just giving them information to help them approach better and be able to see what they need to see. And that's important. And no one's broken into Taufer Park since it closed, or, you know, getting all the detection notices, nothing surprising has happened. But I'm gonna be in Richmond Park multiple times a day, I'm gonna have them. And I might go do a little pioneer park in the future. So stay tuned for that. Should be interesting.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. Okay, we're gonna move on. Cindy has an announcement about Gilgal Gardens anniversary party. It's just barely outside of ringing. But half of the audience were changed.
But I wanted to have to share is this is really our already higher state. Based on where we now know the box came from. So first of all, let me know, we've been spending a bunch of time on the parks before. How short do you make this? I asked for 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
5 minutes, still okay, good. So, Taufer Park, not Taufer, well, you're on my brain. Gilgal Sculpture Garden is located at 749 feet on 500 South. It's directly behind the Cromer music experience. It's on the block west of the shutter thing now. And it was an extraordinary story 25 years ago that a group of artists and community activists gathered together and formed the Friends of Gilgal Garden and raised the money for the park. This was not something Salt Lake City bought. Salt Lake County gave 2/3 of the money to Salt Lake City, which gives you some idea of the scale of the parcel. The Friends of Gilgal raised all of the money for the purchase price. The land was destined for condo development in the lands. So it was really just, I could hear one of the Friends of Gilgal's voice on my phone. It's a miracle. And it was. That at the very last minute, the money came through from the county on July 1st of 2000. The money was transferred from Salt Lake County to Salt Lake City. The Trust for Advancement involved, the LDS Churches Foundation involved, a lot of small scale builders involved, and the land. At the 10-year mark, we had a celebration, and we were planning on a 20-year mark. Guess what happened? 2020. Yeah. So this is the makeup for not having the celebration 5 years ago. And I want to share with you my favorite parts. The 21st in the afternoon, that's a Sunday, because traditionally the owners of the garden opened it on Sunday after church. So my favorite parts so far are that Grant Fetzer, who was one of the owners after Thomas Child died, Fetzer family owned the garden, and Grant Fetzer is going to be doing a Q&A, and we're going to record that. And that would just be extraordinary. You can ask any question. And then the second thing is we have an amazing person who is one of the original friends. Who's done a scavenger hunt. We used to work at Preservation Utah and now works at the Museum of Natural History, so she brings a whole set of kind of curator skills to scavenger hunt, which will become part of the website along with Grant's Q&A. And then the one that's just coming together is that John Lambert, abstract mason, who now retired, has gone through 400 pages of Commons Trials writing and identified where the rocks and monuments So from northern Utah down to Lee County, we have the locations, stones that make up the monuments, and this is new. I am so excited. So at the event, we will have signs in front of the monument, say, disrupting Lee County, Valley, a bunch of them. So anyway, that's the scope for your kids, you just scavenger mud, there's program rocks, and we have musicians playing music from the 40s and 50s when the garden was in its construction phase. And we're hoping to have a few people speak, but it's very low on political officials. We were building things around the mayor, and she couldn't be here. And so we just decided to go and focus on new activities. And I'll hang around afterwards. I'd be delighted if you have a way to distribute the flyers, just into an electronic version so that you can get the word out. And again, it's just an amazing place that came looking so close to really I come out of hibernation to do this. This is like my fourth major event garden. It's such an extraordinary school. So that's it. And got access to an email list. Send me a message and I'll reply.
One question for you, so I see it's 1 to 5. If someone wants to come for the speeches and the ceremonies and whatever, what time should they go?
Great question. We asked that last night in the meeting. I think it's closing in on 2:30 to 3. And we do have someone from the LDS Church coming to speak. I'm excited about that. We may have the person who curates and has she has done absolutely amazing. So, but the focus will be not on politics. We are going to invite some of the city council members who work in office when garden was exactly.
But you're saying like 2 to 3 is what?
2:30 to 3. 2:30 to 3. One where people talk, the musicians take a break.
Okay.
And of course, it's free. It's public park.
Thank you, Cindy. Next, so Troy's up next, and do you need to share your screen?
I don't know, it will be like that, but I can just talk.
If you join the Zoom, yeah, I can already share the screen.
Is that?
Did you send me something, Troy?
I did send you something, so.
I thought you did.
Or up there.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So, and Troy has a huge amount.
I didn't put this on Slack. I talked about it last time.
Okay.
I guess I can talk to that now though. When our 600 East CIP, the capital program project, that could get officially funded. It had so many layers, like it got recommended by the mayor, and then it ended up onto the council's list, and then I have to give very final stamp of approval. So that's finally done. Now you can stop at the 9 South on 60, so it's pretty much making connection required all over the Avenues neighborhood. We pretty much submitted a concept, but this will go through the full street design process, so long as there's no surprise by you guys or the state. So barring that, hopefully it'll go through the normal process and we'll give feedback hopefully in the next year or so. It usually takes them 2 or 3 years to actually get a CIP project in the ground. So it'll be a little bit, but yeah. 5. Yeah, it could be 5.
I did Kensington Avenue Highway CIP and submitted that application in 2019. We just got our crosswalk made for this other month.
That signal just turned on 10 days ago, which is great. That's 7 East. Yeah. And on that, we're currently planning out another submission for 7 South. So there's another area that is in the plans to be a neighborhood byway. once it comes up. But we're gonna try to do a 7 piece
Oh, okay,
crossing.
it's not showing there.
We're gonna try to do a 7 piece crossing of 700 South, so if you ever want pizza or donuts, you can't get across the street. The goal is to make that possible, so you don't have to walk around an entire quarter mile around 2 blocks or 2 Salt Lake City blocks to get across there. But essentially, it could be model made off of 7 pieces from which is stuff, so we know it's possible, now it's like,
We love it.
yeah. I'm glad it's finally turned on. It's been sitting there for a couple months. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out first too. But in addition to that, we're also thinking of, so we'll have that crossing, that'll be the big costly thing. Like these signals are like $500,000 to $1 million depending on how complex it is. Because they have to rip up the median and then push the signals in and all that. But we're also thinking about adding to this mission, having like the 30s to the 80s portion of South become a neighborhood byway.
It's fine with the byway.
Yeah, it's pretty much like an area that's like, they pretty much put in measures to stop speeding. So better facilitate walking, biking, and there's like kids playing, or all those kinds of things that like a neighborhood street should have. So it's kind of just prioritizing that. 7 South also briefly has a 25-mile/hour speed limit, even though it's a residential street, as we all know, in that section. So if you can try to get that changed, that should be pretty simple. But yeah, there are some projects that have gone throughout the city so that it doesn't have to be a speed bump. There are some other ideas, like some parts of 7 South are absolutely massive for no reason. Like they're almost like landing strips. So like, there's an example over there to the right where they actually put like a concrete median island in. It would be great to have trees in there too, but that's even more expensive than the utilities. So as much as I want that, that might not be possible. But that's currently the idea. This was one that like we came up with the idea like 2 years ago. So we've kind of been going through our ideas. So, yeah, there are any problems. But most of like the one I'm going in, if it gets selected. So they'll be on very good. That's really just about selling. There's a board for the CIP process where they kind of like ask questions of you. You have to frame it like, why is this like important for the city? Why should they fund it?
Is this on any like safe crossing routes to any elementary schools or anything like that?
I don't think this one's on that like the school crosswalks. But this one,
that helps. Even if it's like a block or something.
any kind of CIP submission, if there's any plan that is like saying that this should be here, you have to areas to that. This site actually is made across the location. That's my already as a possible improvement. So we always have to build on that. So yeah, but
It's so successful. Because I got letters of support from all the schools that it would touch in our neighborhood and our school rep at the time that, this, but like build consensus.
I actually did mean to also say, if you know anyone who is business, or even who lives on 7 South in that area, if you could just talk to them and talk about this project idea, I can get like kind of like a form letter and make this sign and add whatever they want to say about it. So if you know any of the business owners there, that'd be really great. I'll probably talk to GoPed since they're right on the edge of this. And then I can also talk to East Central Community Council, since we would have like a little plot and also across that would be beneficial to them. But anyone else that if you know them, like just chat with them and try to connect with us. That would be a really great compliment, a bunch of businesses supporting, especially right on that intersection.
Yeah, does anyone know people who work at or own Manbury Cross, Domino's, the alterations, the dollar haircut? We're gonna be approaching them, but if anybody has contacts there, so
If anyone gets there, that's a lot. Chat them up. Yeah. But with that, another thing that we actually sent a letter to UDOT recently. So you might be aware that there's this new UDOT Senate bill earlier this year that was kind of tacked onto this big transportation bill that the legislature puts out every year.
But essentially, UDOT and the state had took some control over Salt Lake City street planning, particularly the any kind of safety improvement. So we wanted to send we actually wanted to send something last year because 7 Beach, we had that crash that resulted in a pedestrian dying on 7 Beach, actually by 7 South last year, and we didn't quite get to it. But now that there's this other initiative by the state to try and stop these like safety projects, he definitely wanted to get something. So we sent them letters saying that we support Salt Lake City's safety efforts. And then we also asked them to please make 7 safer, as well as your other safe routes. And we were pointing out the recent deaths and injuries, and most of them are on state road streets. So 75% of the deaths in our neighborhood in the last 4 years were on and roads, not city streets. So they need to take some responsibility, and they do need to hear from us. They don't make it easy to get in contact with them and send it to the director of Region 2 for UDOT. They have a quarterly to the state. Yes, indeed.
One thing we did years ago with the alignment of the tracks on 400 South is we just piled in the car and we went out to a board meeting at UDOT. And the board members were really nice to us. We didn't get dismissed by the regional people. It was really this huge steamroller thing going and having the Olympics to get that tracks line installed on 400 South. And the people on the board were really nice. I mean, it's a whole different group of people now, but I was surprised that how interested they were.
That's good to know. Yeah. Otherwise, if you want to send a quick comment to them, they do have an email. There's contact utah.gov. You can just send an email about anything that they're doing. So it could even be city stuff now that UDOT has to give us approval. So if there's any project that you know about the Grand Boulevards, you can submit a comment about that. UDOT. At this point, they need to hear it because they're now the ones that are gatekeeping that our tax dollars get used to. So I think at this point, it's safe to say that it needs to go to UDOT as well. Anything you do, send it to UDOT too. They need to hear from all of us. They need to get some pressure on like actually implementing safety improvements and caring about that.
Is there a map that like shows what's a state street and what's a city street?
I think UDOT has a map and the city has a map. I don't know if there's one together. But yeah, there are definitely some out there. I don't know how they all come.
The W Wasatch Rule,
Oh, yeah.
they all have those maps. It's a great resource for all.
I had one of the, what they call them, this really, that's the political plans that are built into the Senate Bill 195. One of the things that I heard from Atkins consultants there is that they have heard that emergency vehicles have fewer routes than they used to, that are reliable and congestion free. Knowing that, if you could get Gold Cross or the fire department to say that they are not, that 700 South is not a major route for them, I feel like that could get you a long way.
You need to write a policy.
What action? I'm sorry.
In the neighborhood byway.
Fewer east-west connectors than they use because of the speed, like road diagram and stuff. So maybe you get more east-west.
Yeah, well, that one specifically can't cross 30 because it's not a free street there. It's a dead end for anyone.
So highlight that.
Yeah.
Make it really.
Yeah. I also don't know if it's schedule. Yes, but if it's like it goes to UDOT where that would be more violated process.
Can we just plug Troy and all of his effort, because he's also kind of running our bike ballet at the Midnight Street Festival over the 20th. So Troy, you're just such a great people.
Anyone wants to help volunteer for bike ballet? Maybe I should share that form with you too.
Yeah.
Share it also.
Great something, right? Or the 20th, yeah. So that's a burden. No,
No.
the ninth and eighth session. Oh, yeah, we're back, sorry.
It's gonna be across from Winter Street, like 850 East, that time south. There's like this little lot that's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of just like tucked in there, yeah.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for that. So that's it for the agenda. Does anyone else have something they want to bring to the whole group?
I actually wanted to ask a question, or ask you guys a question. So up in Elko, we sort of our geography puts us in, we're kind of meshed between the urban issues and then let's just put Del West, right? So we're smashed between like more conservative residential areas and then more maybe urban thinking, forward thinking people like ourselves and power people user. So we recently had a lot of issues, especially with like the SB 195, where our constituents are like split and they tend to be going around us and going around the city and going straight to the state. We also just had just in the last couple of days, we had some of our neighbors threaten, actually me in particular, that we're not doing enough to work on the public safety issues around the school, even though it feels like we're working all the time on it. And so they want to go after us to go directly to ICE, right? To bring ICE into our neighborhoods. And I understand like free speech and I understand all this stuff, but it is like, I'm just like heartbroken and heartbroken. Right, so I was wondering about this community council, and since we all work so closely and well together, if you're feeling that struggle where you're just being torn between, like some of your constituents are maybe trying to actually counteract the efforts that you're working on in this geography, are you feeling kind of supported by it? I just wanted to ask that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that happen. Also, I was just one board member, but I think we don't view ourselves as a layer between people and the government. People reach out freely to Ava and the mayor, and that's great. We're not their government. We're not their authority. If people want to join forces and become more powerful in that way, that's what we're here for. But I don't see us as an entity between residents and the government.
Yeah, I don't think that's what I'm saying either. Sorry if it's coming across like that. I'm just wondering if you're like feeling like there's coalitions building in this arena that you're sort of feeling trapped between. Like with your street projects, do you feel like you guys are working, but then there's also other coalitions right here in the neighborhood that are literally working against you? Or do you feel like you kind of have a public support from the community in which
Central cities have that, the valleys or streets, where it's mostly just running around without.
That's the sometimes we should stand up the council, being high extent, but the neighbors compare. And they might be working on their own budgets, usually it's.
that's great to hear.
For now, I know what's gonna.
Well, I just am really interested in maybe bringing the board together and kind of understanding some good stuff that you might have to help us with. Because I mean, we really value you guys' input, and you have the connection to the community that, we don't have a lot going on. So we would like to ask you to like give us some advice and kind of do a little cross community council training. Thank you.
All helpful to work together. It's nice to have you both you guys and other community councils.
It's been so long.
Our meeting's tomorrow, but you want to sit in online.
My meeting's tomorrow. Oh, for community council. We're gonna have the best.
Yeah, I think that's it. Then thanks everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day.